Hello and welcome to Tech Latest from Nikkei Asia, where we bring you the freshest updates from the technology sector in Asia. I'm your host, Akito Tanaka from Nikkei Asia's Tokyo headquarters, and Sayumi Take, a Nikkei staff writer based here in Tokyo, will join me for this week's episode. We'll discuss Sony and Honda's EV ambition, as well as other stories that we recommend to our readers. Welcome to this week's episode, Sayumi. It's really good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So for Nikkei Asia's weekly Tech Asia feature story, you interviewed the president of Sony Honda Mobility. Now, what is Sony Honda Mobility and what are they trying to do?
So Sony Honda Mobility, as the name suggests, is a 50-50 joint venture between Sony, the Japanese electronics and entertainment giant, and Honda, the auto giant. And they're trying to produce a brand new EV called the Afeela. So I interviewed Mr. Izumi Kawanishi. He is a longtime Sony employee who's been involved in developing Sony's PlayStation video game consoles. Maybe our listeners are familiar with them. He's also been involved in the Sony's robotic dog series, Aibo. And he also has some experience in making cars because Sony tried to make a car on its own back in 2020. It was called the Vision S, and he was a leader of that project as well.
Okay.
So in general, cars with advanced software is becoming more popular. And I think we hear a lot about this, especially from China. And so the idea behind the Sony Honda Mobility is to bring together the expertise of these two companies. Sony is a top seller of image sensors, and they want to sell more sensors to automakers. Honda wants to become stronger in making these software vehicles. So they came up with this project to work together.
Okay, great. So an executive that was involved in making PlayStation and Aibo, the robot dog, is now making an EV.
Yes.
Yes, and this is called Afeela. And how is Afeela different from other EVs?
So Mr. Kawanishi has pointed out entertainment as a main feature. This is understandable because if you think back to what Sony is famous for, you have the Walkman, the PlayStation. It also has a franchise to the popular superhero film, Spider-Man. And so how can we see this in the car? Well, all the seating area has displays, which probably isn't so new now, but the interior of the car has multiple speakers and noise canceling features, which I imagine would create some kind of movie theater-like environment within the car where you can enjoy movies, music, or games. Another feature is that it's embedded with 45 cameras and sensors. This is as of 2023, which is quite a large number, Kawanishi-san told me. And these are for monitoring inside and outside the vehicle. And the data gathered by these sensors will be fed to chips. This will be from Qualcomm, the US chip maker. And it will be used to provide artificial intelligence features and driving assistance features. And of course, the car's software will be updatable like you see in a smartphone these days.
So it is like a PlayStation on the wheel kind of car, which is very different from our conventional EVs. And when can we or the consumer actually buy this car?
So the plan is to take orders from 2025, which is next year, and they'll be then delivered to consumers from 2026. The target market is first the US, and then Japan. And all orders are mostly taken online, I've heard. But the company is going to announce the details at the CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in the US early in the new year.
Okay, so we don't know how much it costs right now.
No, but that is one issue for them. A lot of experts have forecasted that they'll be quite pricey because of all the sensors. And of course, chips and batteries aren't so affordable right now either. So we'll see.
Okay, good. So first of all, from a product entry perspective, so selling the car or taking orders from 25 and actually delivering it from 2026, what are the specialists and analysts saying about this, strategy? And also, obviously, there are lots of rivals in the EV markets in the United States, mainly Tesla. And what are analysts and specialists saying about, how Sony's Afeela could compete in this very already competitive market?
So maybe I should start with there's much hope for the brand. One of the analysts told me, well, you're combining a world-class software to world-class automaker. But the initial excitement seems to be more moderate. I've heard analysts say the prototype, it's okay. I mean, it's very, you have all the software feature there, but it's not like groundbreaking in any way. And the focus is more on how the consumers find the software once they start writing on it, whether the company can improve that and the driver assistance features as they go. And we cannot ignore the fact that Donald Trump is taking over the US government administration from January. And this is why one analyst said Sony Honda is entering the market at the worst timing. This is because Trump is expected to cut subsidies for EVs and also maybe will raise tariffs for imports from Mexico and Canada, which would hurt Honda quite a bit. I've read a report recently that anticipated Honda would have to pay extra costs equaling a quarter of their operating profits. So that's quite a hit for the parent company of Sony Honda. So we never know what Trump is going to do in the end, but I guess we'll have to see that.
All right. Thank you, Sayumi. I look forward for more reporting on this Afeela EV in the future, and come back to our show again.
Thank you.
That's all for this week's episode. You can read more of Sayumi's reporting, along with other stories about Asia's tech industry on Nikkei Asia's website, asia.nikkei.com. Thank you again for listening. Check back in next time for more updates on the tech trends that matter.